Have you met Tanisio Senimu?
No, I haven't.
Well, I met him last week. He has a team of people who knows all about what's plaguing farmers and how to cultivate the use of undeveloped land.
Oh, wow. I want to hear more about that. My great-grandfather was a farmer, and we ate everything from the rooter to the tutor.
Right, greetings. My name is Tanisio Natanase with Nature's Candy Farms. Thank you all for being here with us at the Environmental Justice Education and Awareness Symposium. As you see, we've got a wonderful panel of guests here today, and we're going to be dealing with the issue of food security and just seeing how we all play a role in making sure that we can ensure that those plates in our community are packed with the right foods, the most local, nutritious foods, and of course we are supporting all those that are in need. I want to go around the table and allow everyone to introduce themselves, so just feel free to share your name and who you are and the organizations that you represent, starting with this young lady right here to my left.
Greetings, I'm Abilton Henderson, the founder of the Come Up Project, featuring the Gangsters to Growers program.
My name is Margie Boone. I am the CEO and founder of Margie's House. We are a food pantry in South Fulton County, and we're based in Fairburn, in the city of Fairburn, currently serving about 850 families a month.
Greetings, everyone. Jay Olubayiru, Urban Agriculture Director for the City of Atlanta, and it's wonderful to be here with us.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Travis Hyman, agriculture education teacher from Creekside High School. I'm glad to be here.
Good evening. My name is Alonzo Raines. I'm also with Creekside High School. I'm a career tech and instruction coordinator and also the CTSO director at Creekside High School.
Greetings and blessings. My name is Kirk Briscoe, aka Saeed Tajani. I'm a clinical herbalist and a health entrepreneur. I'm also the founder of Jamaica Organics and HealingInTheGarden.com. And we create products. We have our local store, our brick and mortar here in Atlanta, and we're serving the community of Westview and South Fulton. Glad to be here.
All right, just to give a more in-depth introduction of myself, I'm Tanisio Sanima, once again with Nature's Candy Farms. We are an actual local agricultural entity, both in food production as well as advocacy work. And so I'm here representing, we'll say, Southwest Atlanta, East Point, Georgia, South Fulton, all of the above wrapped up in one. So thank you for having me as well. Do you all want us to proceed? All right, good deal. So, excuse me. Of course, we have all kind of been brought here today, new to each other in many regards. Some of us do know each other. Many of us, this is our first time getting to learn of each other. But one thing I had the opportunity to really discover is that there's a natural intersectionality between all of the work that we're doing. And so hopefully for you all the viewers, as you listen to us discuss our respective roles, you'll also see how this local food movement really is a very dynamic movement. It's not just farmers. It's not just the consumers. It's not just grocery stores. It's not just the local school systems. It's a holistic entity that's really got a lot of moving parts. And so my goal as the moderator today is really just to demonstrate that synergy in a way that I think would be very unique for a lot of viewers, because they typically only see one part of the, this movement, if you will, and not the holistic thing. So what I want to actually start with is kind of in reverse. The beginning, of course, is growing the food, right, and producing the food. But I'd be remiss, considering that we are in this era of COVID-19, to not really start with the current conditions and work our way backwards to just really demonstrate how the solution has already been there. So I actually want to start with you, Mrs. Boone, and talking about the works that you're doing, because I know you've had the opportunity to work in the nonprofit sector and really support families that are in need of food in this moment in time.
The food pantry program is the one, of course, this last year has been the most active. But we saw a need in our community even back in 2016 where there were families struggling to put food on the table. Senior citizens were struggling. They were having to choose between putting food on the table and purchasing medication. So we saw a real food insecurity problem way back in 2016 when we launched Margie's House. And we serve we were serving 550 families before COVID. And so it provides hope, because a lot of our clients they're single moms, they're single dads who are trying to figure out how to just meet the basic needs of their family. You know, they're senior citizens who have worked for 30 years and now find themselves on their pension and their Social Security won't even give them enough money to buy the medication they need and the food, nutritious food, not just food, but getting nutritious food on their table. So it's a struggle that so many families are having. And then there are even our 2-income families that both work, but they still are below the poverty level and cannot put nutritious food and cannot meet basic necessities for their families. And so the thought of children going to bed hungry at night is a problem. You know, anybody going hungry, but especially children going hungry to bed at bed, you know, going to bed hungry at night is a problem. And we just felt like we had to do something. We know we can't fix the problem for everybody, but we can do what we can in South Fulton County and make a difference in those families' lives.
Well, you all feel free to chime in. But if I may, I do want to direct some attention real quick to this young man right here, just to kind of go up one more level, as I said, and then kind of bring it back down, because you, Mr. J. Olubayu, you now work in city government, right? Yeah. City governments, of course, have always understood, you know, these issues exist. But you have a very specific role, something quite unique, if you will, especially in the South, which is you actually work as an urban agriculture director. So that means we're going, you know, a step below what is normally considered the government's focus on agriculture, being either the state level or even the federal level. They're now bringing it down to the municipal sector. When you hear, you know, Margie Boone talk about these things that she's experiencing, what does it trigger within you, within the work that you do? And what do you see as a way for, you know, your role, if you will, to, you know, at least help analyze and bring some perspective on how to possibly deal with some of those, you know, problems?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things that first comes to my mind as I just think of the whole context of that response and the question, and all of us at the table, is equity. In my office at One Atlanta, the mayor's office of One Atlanta, which was also known as the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Office, and then me being in resilience, being the urban agriculture director, working with city planning, working with Parks and Recreation, welcoming Atlanta, which is formerly known as the Office of Immigrant Affairs. So I'm going to start there. Mm-hmm. So speaking of families and people that aren't always seen or spoken about, think about people who are speaking English as a second language, right? Think about people who are working in industries, hospitality, how it was affected by COVID, restaurants, hotels, et cetera, construction, et cetera. Much, you know, food, right? All of that being affected, those populations that, you know, aren't even represented right now, you know, at this table. So when you think about just, when you talk about, oh, what does it look like? It looks like all of this. It doesn't look like one group, doesn't look like one nationality, doesn't look like one neighborhood. It looks like all of us.
And we've got two wonderful educators here. Yeah. Since you already began to tap into that part of this holistic system, why don't you two gentlemen introduce yourselves?
Travis Hyman. I'm an agriculture education teacher at Creekside High School, teaching students 9th through 12th grade. I've also had the opportunity to teach elementary ag components 2nd through 5th grade.
When we've talked about, we teach about pork, beef, just all about agriculture, and letting students know that, hey, you got to learn this, you need to learn this stuff and just know how to be able to live. If you can't go to the grocery store, what if we didn't have a grocery store right down the street? Where are you going to get your food from? So, you know, it kind of goes back to if you ate, think of farming. If you can read, think of teacher, right? So, those are some of the things that we're doing on a daily basis.
Right. And then that, of course, prepares them not only just for self-sustainability through these technical skills, if you will, that they have, but I would assume job creation is a part of what you all are aiming to do as well, too?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit. Where are you seeing these students' interest going with regards to, all right, now that I'm moving out of school and I have these skills, you know, what does it equate to as far as being able to create occupations for themselves.
So a lot of the students that we have a small animal component, small animal care component, as well as the plant science horticulture component. We have a lot of students that want to go on and pursue careers as veterinarians. Some want to pursue careers as agricultural engineers. Then you have some that just want to go out and enter the workforce as landscapers. We hadn't really had too many kids say, well, hey, I want to just go out and just be a row crop, a straight out farmer doing row crops, because, you got to think about the area that we're in right now. They're really not exposed to it. And that brings up another topic. We try to expose our students to as many opportunities that we possibly can in agriculture, because, it's endless opportunities available to students in agriculture. They could just go to college and just graduate with a bachelor's in agriculture and pretty much almost land a job anywhere doing something. Mm-hmm. But we're just trying to make sure that we give them a basic foundation there, almost to the point where when they get to their next level, they're like, man, you got some, you know something, you know enough to be dangerous, and you know enough to have a good, decent conversation about agriculture.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to touch on also from an educational standpoint, and I want to touch on some of this brother's things right here. We just talked about geometry, we just talked about pre-algebra, we just talked about geography and environment. So there's this educational component, right?
Yes,
so again, when we think about being able to feed ourselves, we're thinking about the actual food, but also the education. And then when we talk about employment opportunities, then we also get led to entrepreneurial opportunities. Mm-hmm. And that's a different level of thinking, right? Where it's like, yeah, I can still do my work at a store, at a retail department place, at a gas station, at a school, etc. And then I also can open up this other opportunity of value-added products with hot sauce, with other minerals and supplements. And I think that that's another way of looking at it, is that it's not just about feeding yourself, which is extremely important. It's also about feeding yourself mentally and educationally and opening up other opportunities for yourself and for other people.
Saeed, go ahead and introduce yourself. Talk about some of these, ideas that I know are running through your head from what you've heard right now.
It's touching base on a lot of the processes that us as a company has been going through ever since COVID hit. What we have noticed is that a lot of our customer base, we're an online store, healinginthegarden.com, we're an online store, and we got an influx of customers looking to be educated on how they can boost their immune system to protect them from this COVID pandemic. So most people are dealing with what you would call modern day diseases, or people with, autoimmune diseases. You have people who are scared to get COVID because they already are sick. Mm-hmm. And so we get a lot of, people asking about, how can I strengthen myself? How can I protect myself? And as a clinical herbalist, I have to answer to emails a lot, and then also provide them with the type of herbs that can help them. You have people who are struggling with pharmaceutical drugs, who have seen their parents and grandparents get worse or didn't get better with it. So now they're looking for an alternative. And because of that, we have been very busy since this pandemic, educating and also providing the herbs. Now, our herbs is grown in Jamaica. So sometimes you have certain type of herbs that's not native to, England, America. Even though the sarsaparilla is here in the U.S., the one in Jamaica is a little bit different because the herbs grow best based on the climate and the soil and the altitude, right? So basically, we have been sourcing nonstop around the clock, trying to gather these herbs, and our science to gathering is based on the moon. Farmers know about the moon phases. Mm-hmm. And because of following this tradition, we notice that our plants come out stronger when we reap it on the dark moon nights, right? Mm-hmm. And we notice that the healing power is in it when we source it through a wildcraft way. Instead of planting we actually go up in the hills and the bushes and cultivate it. And instead of just digging up the root, we will get it, we will clip it so the root can maintain itself and, the ecosystem continues. Just like when we dive for our sea moss, we don't just snatch it from the reef. We actually use the scissors and clip it so it can continue growing. And in that way, we notice that when you farm the farm crop, because we also do a little bit of farming, but the farm crop is not as potent as the wildcraft crops, right? Because most of the farm crops are hybrids, right? But the wildcraft crops has the molecular structure is completed. So it has the healing force in it, and from that, we're seeing more and more people learning about different types of herbs, learning how to heal themselves naturally, going back to the old natural way, the way that grandma used to do it. And it's just becoming a more better society that people is learning how to help themselves and being educated.
There seems to be a reevaluation, of many of the principles that we were living by, as well as the skills that are needed to live in a principled manner, if you will, right? When I think about everything that our brother just talked about, even with regards to, like you said, cultivation versus just growing it, the traditional ways that we all know, go buy some seeds and plant it, right? I mean, these are skills that, again, go beyond whether you're going to have a job or not. They stick with you, right?
Right.
But being that we do have CTAE in place, that, to a degree, stigma that vocational skills used to have.
Right.
Do you think that's going to start to shift? Do you think people are going to start to say, you know what, the person that actually can, wildcraft their food, the person that actually is willing to learn all the different areas of agriculture and the food system, they're no longer just, lower on the spectrum of job importance. Do you think we're going to start to see people have a reevaluation of those skills?
Life have changed. That's what I like about life. It never stayed the same. It came back around. Everybody had to go to college. They think everybody, we push everybody go. But they had to come to a stop. Because I'm not going to college, that don't mean I'm not successful. So, we had to change that name from that vocation to make them start thinking. And that's why we said college and career ready. So now, when I look at a person like Mr. Heim, I guess, for example, I'd be like, I wish I had all the traits that he had. He can do about 10 other things, other than working at the school, landscaping, fixing cars. But he's saving himself a lot of money. And now we are seeing kids saying, yeah, I don't want to go to college, but still I want to do CTAE. And CTAE have made schools, we got a report last week, it's 95% of people that have taken CTAE have graduated.
Increasing graduation.
Because Bob say, if I had a CTAE class, I was going to drop out of high school. But that motivates me to come to school.
So I'm getting that hands-on and technical experience that I may not get over there in my math class or my English class, but I know when I go to agriculture or when I go to auto mechanics, I'm ready to get my hands dirty. I'm actually learning a life skill.
As we've just heard, Travis mention, there's certain skills that haven't been marketed and promoted and made as attractive to the next generation. And yet you've taken an opportunity to be more hands-on and show them actually these are probably the things that y'all want to pay the closest attention to. What have you been able to do first and foremost with your program, and what moments of clarity, if you will, have you seen the participants who go through your program kind of realize about just where they can fit in within society, especially when society has traditionally tried to write them off? Talk about your work and your experience.
Well, with Gangsters to Growers, we work with 17 to 25-year-olds. Most of them have been formerly incarcerated. Spent 6 months to 2 years within the jail or prison system. And what I've seen out there was just that we had so many dope urban farmers, so many really great farms that that have been in people's families for years after years after years, but we didn't really have any labor. So we're just out here, kind of looking cute, or we got elders that are on land by themselves, got 70 acres, and they just out there by themselves because they push their child to go to college, because it's been marketed to us as the thing to do. And it's just like, okay, well, we don't have a lot of labor. We got youth that, I had youth living next door to me that they were hitting licks. And I go in the backyard, they got 30 pairs of sneakers out. You know what I'm saying? And everybody looking over and, I see one walking down the street with a determined look. I hear gunshots later on. I'm just like, all right. We can't keep ignoring or keep being complicit in us locking up children, right? We know your brain isn't fully developed until you're 25 and all these things. And we're all complicit in them locking up these young people, that should be out here getting married, having babies, all the things, but instead they lock down in cells, solitary confinement, all this locked up in cages, right? So it's just like, okay, how can we also provide a wage that makes a little more sense? It's not the best, but we provide them with 40 hours of work a week and $15 an hour. We've been brainwashed into thinking $15 an hour is a lot of money, when actually it's after taxes only $24,000 a year. But at the least, that's the least that we're going to give folks, right? And what we've seen is when we expose them to so many different farmers all over, True Living Well being one of the urban farms here in Atlanta, Nature's Candy Farms, Tenisio's farm. We've gone down to Wilburn Farms, where we grow our onions and garlic and our turmeric now for our hot sauce, so that could be now a black-owned supply chain for our value-added product. First of all, when they get on a large piece of land after the day off, they ready to, where the football at? And in the city, they're not able to do that. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think most people do know that. I think we believed that, the urban environment is where you can play. But to your point, it's a restricted environment.
I've seen it.
Yeah, that's
you go to a small farm. At the end of the day, at a Menlo Grill Museum, they're not like, where's the football? When we get on a large tract of land, they at the end of the day, go long. It's just, it opens them up. Number one. Number two, it's just a pride in getting their hands dirty. You know what I'm saying? They're just like, yo, I grew that. At a mineral land that we steward, we went from planting seedlings to, I got a picture where they taking their own pictures now. Like, look at this. Look what I did. This is before and after. What you got? So there is a pride, and exposing them to like High Hog Farm, where they just went on Tuesday to High Hog Family Homestead, where she has goats, sheep that she shears and makes yarn from. She has horse, rabbits that she uses the fur for, all these different, and then she's making, her son is making goat milk soap. So them now seeing all these other, she makes yarn. She's ready to teach these young people how to shear, because there's not a lot of black shearers. So being able to go there and see all the different things you can do with a few goats, few sheep, few chickens, turkeys, on this family-owned 5-acre, plot, has really, they feel like they're ahead of the curve, And when COVID happened, we went from, in 2020, meeting, trying to see, okay, we're running this fundraiser, we're gonna, what's our website gonna look like, doing more admin things to, we need to get on some farms to, before the next program started, get on some farms and put some food down on the ground. So we went to 12 black-owned farms that first month in March. to get some food in the ground, and you know that made them feel like, yo, what y'all want, you know? So
I can do what
So which areas do you cover?
well, right now the program is based in the west side of Atlanta,
Okay.
northwest, southwest. We're focused in southwest. That's where we, you know, live and eat. But when it's time to go out and venture out, we're all over the place. We've been to Sapelo, did some work in Townsend, you know. Like I said, High Hog is, I'm such a city girl. You know, I'm from New York myself, so I can't even tell you where High Hog is, like 45 minutes away that way. We've been in South Florida. We've been all over.
I'm curious, I want to find out from you, Mrs. Boone, where do you see the evolution of even your work becoming? You know, because if you think about it, there's a lot of infrastructure that goes into what you do, right? That can very much be useful should this problem, you know, idealistically go away. And do you see yourself even being able to evolve into other spaces to where, you know, as hopefully, you know, people can take this type of information and implement it and use it in their life? You play a different kind of role. What are your thoughts on that?
I actually made some notes here as we were going around the room, because to get this information to my clients would change their lives.
Yes.
They would no longer need me, and I would so be okay with that. So again, working myself out of a job, and a part of Margie's House is that we do offer workshops. And we do have, and back in before COVID, they came in for the workshops, but of course we're trying to transition them to virtual and to pass this kind of information. I was one of those families that grew tomatoes on my deck during COVID. I was 100% telework, so I was like, why not? Not because I needed it, but to taste a fresh tomato off of my deck as opposed to one out of the grocery store, it took me back to my childhood where we had gardens and we raised our own food. And so I see this as, I actually would like to hear from the group, how do I bring this information to my clients? So that at the end of this, when they are back at work, when they are whatever the new normal is, that they won't go back to the normal, that they will maybe look into growing their own things, they will look into better care for themselves. And so how do I bring that education to them?
I think you said it. I think you said workshops. Because most people learn best with hands-on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, like you can read it, like even on our site, we have blogs. But it's nothing like if the person was there, we can say, put it there step by step, and then they'll feel more, you know, alive, and they'll feel more like, I can do this, and I know how to do it exactly. So I think that if you was to set up some workshop and invite some of us, we'd be happy to help.
I know we have got to wrap it up here, y'all. This has been a wonderful conversation. So I do just want to close with everyone giving, 30 seconds to a minute of time towards how they can reach you. You know, share your contact information. We definitely want those who are viewing this conference to be able to support you. Starting with Sister Abby Adu.
Yeah, so Gangsters with an AS. gangstergrowers.com, Gangsters to Growers on Instagram, Facebook. Just reach out to us. Please go to the website. That's where you can also donate. That's where you can get the link to head to WeBuyBlack.com to purchase the hot sauce. We're out here in Wadada's health food store right now selling the hot sauce as well. But yeah, please come see us.
You can reach us at margieshouse.com. That's our website. We're also on Instagram and Facebook, and we always need volunteers. We also always need financial support. You would be surprised at what $25 a month, that impacts 10 families, just $25 a month. So we definitely need the financial support, but reach out to us. Our phone number and address, come out and see us. Our phone number and address is on the website. We'd love for you to stop by, but yeah, volunteers and financial support is always needed.
Yeah, as far as the city of Atlanta, you can reach me by email, JOBAYEWU. That's JOBAYEWU at atlantagA.gov. You can also look up Aglanta, AGLANTA.org. And we'd love to hear from you. We can talk about City of Atlanta work. We can also talk about the fact that City of Atlanta itself is one city, but the entire metropolitan area is really what it's going to take to do regional food solutions. So please don't hesitate to reach me and continue to speak to your government and municipal leaders and elected leaders. We are listening, we are hearing, And the more we hear that people are interested in urban agriculture and food distribution becoming more of a regular thing, then the more we can move towards making policies and legislation for them.
Hi, Travis Hyman. I can be reached at Creekside High School, Hyman, Hymant, at fultonschools.org. You can follow me on Twitter at Travis Hyman. I would definitely love for you all to come out and visit the program, see what we're doing. We're actually about to have a big spring plant sale. We'll be selling a lot of different vegetable plants, spring annuals. We'll start that plant sale towards the end of April, so please stop by and see me. I'd love to have a conversation with you about agriculture.
My name is Alonzo Raines. I'm at Creekside High School. You can reach me at rainsa@fultonschools.org. Come out and support us at Creekside Agriculture. And like Mr. Hammond said, I help assist with the plant sale, and we are cheaper than Lowe's and Home Depot. So come and support your own and the student work. That's the main thing, student work. So please come to Creekside High School. You can reach us anytime. And Mr. Hyman and I will come out and talk to your organization. We invite organizations to come to Creekside High. Also politicians, everybody that relate to agriculture. Thank you.
Please come visit us at healinghinthegarden.com. At healinghinthegarden.com, you'll find natural herbs, herbal supplements, and the wildcraft herbs. Or you can visit JamaicaOrganicFoods.com. Jamaica Organic Food is actually the mother company that supply not just Healing Garden, but other herbal stores around the US and the UK with natural herbal products. And we're on all social media platforms as either Healing in the Garden or Jamaica Organics.
Terrific. And I can be reached at naturescandyfarms@gmail.com. That's naturescandyfarms@gmail.com. You can also check us out on social media under that same name, Nature's Candy Farm. It's been a pleasure being here with all of you all. I definitely am encouraged to just continue to do this work. Not that I'm ever discouraged, but every time you get to sit around comrade, it just pumps you up, So thank you all again. Thank you, Representative Mandisha Thomas. We must definitely give her a shout out for coordinating the Environmental Justice Education and Awareness Symposium. So big respects. You're hitting the ground running. We appreciate it. And for all of you all who are watching us, just continue to support this work in your community. And we're out. Peace.